Hi there and welcome back. If you're planning to take the SHRM or HRCI exam, then you will need to be familiar with certain HR terms and definitions like what is bumping rights, what is collective bargaining, what is business continuity planning, what is Compa-Ratio, what is constructive discharge, and what is the Minimis Rule. In this video, we will be reviewing these important HR terms and definitions you need to know to ace the SHRM or HRCI exam. So let's begin. What are bumping rights? As per SHRM, bumping rights are privileges provided to most senior level employees whose positions have been eliminated or selected for layoff, allowing the employee with seniority to accept an alternative position that is currently occupied by a less senior employee, resulting in the employee with less seniority being laid off. So in simpler terms, bumping rights refer to the contractual rights of an employee whose position has been made redundant to replace another employee in their position. When a business reduces its workforce and eliminates certain positions, the employees whose positions are being terminated may be eligible to replace other employees in their position. This system of reassigning jobs is typically based on seniority and is called bumping. A business can have an established bumping system that is defined in the company policy, stated in a binding agreement between the employer and the employee, or in a union contract or collective bargaining agreement. The rules that afford an employee bumping rights will vary with each agreement. Speaking of collective bargaining, next, let's understand this better. What is collective bargaining? A collective bargaining agreement, also known as a labor agreement or union contract, defines the terms and conditions of workers' employment and is the result of a negotiation process between an employer or their representative and a union representing the employees. This process is known as collective bargaining and is governed by the National Labour Relations Act or NLRA. To break it down, collective bargaining is the process in which working people through their unions negotiate contracts with their employers to determine their terms of employment. This includes pay benefits, hours, leave, job health, and safety policies, ways to balance work and family, and much more. Thanks to collective bargaining, working people in unions have higher wages, better benefits, and safer workplaces. Next, what is business continuity planning? Business continuity planning is the process of outlining how a business will operate during an emergency. It identifies the crucial business functions that must quickly resume, how resuming those functions will be achieved, and who is responsible for ensuring this happens in the event of an unexpected emergency or disaster. Probably the most recent example was the pandemic, and companies who did not have a business continuity plan struggled to cope with the new lockdown regulations imposed by most governments. Moving along, I apologize in advance for interrupting the video right now. Just a quick message from me. If you are preparing for the SHRM exam, then consider checking out my SHRM exam study guide, the one-book learning system. I have left a link in the description of this video where you can find more details about this guide and how to use it to ace the exam. Now back to the video. What is Compa-Ratio? There's nothing more pressing for companies in today's competitive marketplace than retaining and attracting talent. Business leaders can use government tools such as data provided by the Bureau of Labor Statistics combined with a simple formula to develop a compensation strategy to elevate themselves within their industries and attract talent and reduce turnover. SHRM defines Compa-Ratio as a measure that expresses current pay rates as a percentage of range midpoints, where the midpoints of a pay range represents full market pay. The ratio of the employee's actual salary to that midpoint indicates whether the employee is paid below, at, or above market rate. Compa-Ratio is short for comparison ratio, and it is a metric that compensation professionals use to measure the salary an employee is paid against the salary range midpoint for their position or similar positions at other companies. A Compa-Ratio reveals how far an employee's pay is from the market midpoint. Think fair market rate. If an employee has a Compa-Ratio of 100%, they would be considered right at market. But if the Compa-Ratio is in the 50th percentile, you would be more at risk of losing key players or not being competitive within your industry. Great. Next, if you are finding value in this video and would like to be reminded of similar videos, then consider subscribing to my channel. Like the video, leave a comment. Thanks a bunch. Let's continue. What is constructive discharge? Constructive discharge occurs when working conditions are made so unbearable or abusive that a reasonable person believes that resignation is the only appropriate action for them to take. Constructive discharge is another term for involuntary resignation, a form of wrongful termination in which an employee's actions create an intolerable situation such that an employee feels they have no other choice than to resign. The term constructive discharge is synonymous with constructive dismissal or constructive termination. All three describe the same idea of an employee leaving under nominally voluntary terms as the result of a hostile workplace or intolerable employment situation. These situations are referred to as discharge, dismissal, and termination because the separation is in fact involuntary despite having the appearance of a voluntary departure. Next, what is the Minimis Rule? De minimis comes from Latin when referring to something of minimum importance. In business, it is linked to any benefit, property, or service provided to an employee that has so little value that accounting for it would be unreasonable or administratively impractical. It also refers to mistakes which have little or no impact for the bigger picture. For instance, in a $1 million deal, a $10 mistake is de minimis. The de minimis rule is used by the IRS to determine if a benefit provided to an employee should be excluded from taxable income because the value is so small and the practice so infrequent that accounting for the value of the benefit is unreasonable or impractical. So examples of de minimis benefits include employer-provided snacks, small holiday gifts, flowers, and occasional entertainment tickets. However, it is important to remember cash or cash equivalent items such as gift cards, no matter how little, are never excluded as a de minimis benefit, except for occasional meal money or transportation fare provided to an employee working unusual or extended overtime hours. Next, I recommend you check out this playlist next, in which I cover even more important and complex HR terms and definitions which you must understand to ace your SHRM or HRCI exam. If you found value in this video, then consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I post HR and leadership related videos every week. I will see you in the next video.